Hey, come see me do stand-up in Ontario, California, Las Vegas, and Davenport, Iowa. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. This is from Press TV.
I think he was telling the truth, by the way.
Israeli military used U.S. aid Pier as part of the Nuseirat massacre. So that's that massacre that just happened, where they slaughtered 200 children to save 4 hostages.
Did they save the hostages?
They killed a couple.
Great.
The Israeli military used a U.S.-built pier, which has been purportedly installed to transfer aid to the Gaza Strip, to facilitate an earlier massacre against a refugee camp located in the central part of the coastal sliver, our report says. Israeli forces carried out the massacre against the Nuseirat refugee camp on Saturday, killing hundreds of Palestinians before they retrieved 4 Israeli captives. Now, according to that kid, they were not only Israelis, as soldiers, that it was also American. Here's what CNN says. An Israeli operation rescues 4 hostages. Look how they put it. And kills scores of Palestinians.
4 score and how many hostages?
It killed scores.
What's a score of is that like a dozen?
A score is a dozen.
It is.
Scores. Why did they just say they killed the baker's dozen of Palestinians?
Also, how many hostages did they kill?
So 200, scores. So technically it is scores. So 12 times what equals 200? 12 times 12 is 144. So scores, at least 15 scores.
Well,
16, 17.
Abraham Lincoln that.
According to the Cradle Online News magazine, they were then flown out of Gaza via the U.S.-built pier, the troops, which had been reinstalled on the coast on Friday after undergoing tens of millions of dollars in repairs. At least 210 Palestinians were killed and more than 400 others were injured when the Israeli military carried out dozens of airstrikes against the besieged territory as means of enabling the captives' retrieval.
Is that how you usually do that? I thought there would be like a high-powered rifle set up across the building, or something, but they carpet bombed the area to get the hostages back.
So they've updated this to 274 killed and more than 700 wounded to get 4 hostages back. So that was part of when Hamas did their October 7th. It was to get, they have over 1,000.
They killed less Israelis to get their people back.
That's right.
Which I guess is the policy is we're 9 times more valuable than you are. The people in the concentration camp we keep.
The regime's forces directly targeted civilians, including children, during a barbaric and brutal aggression against the Nuseirat camp, Gaza government media office said. At least 36,801 Palestinians, mostly women and children. Mostly women and children.
This is where conservatives make me fucking sick because they're all blabbing about trans surgery on kids and doing this.
But they don't care about slaughtering kids.
And they're just slaughter, and they're like, well, war is hell.
Yeah.
Well, now you know what the other people are saying when they mutilate your kids. They go, war is hell. I guess we got to do this to your kids.
83,000 have been wounded in the war that has launched following a retaliatory operation by the Palestinian Territories Resistance Movement.
Yeah, I don't hear about drag queen story hours.
Prior to the operation that targeted Nuseirat, the Palestinian Resistance Movement, Hamas, had repeatedly warned that the floating pier was built to deliver weapons to the Israeli regime. The pier is intended to provide cover for Washington's support for the occupation with weapons, Hamas said last month. And here's our friend Arnaud Bertrand. Arnaud Bertrand says, imagine if the shoe were on the other foot and Palestinians stormed an Israeli detention center to free 4 people, many of whom held without charges. And that caused 610 Israeli casualties in the process. Would the front pages of all the world's papers lead with the images of the 4 happy reunited Palestinian families, as they do today for the Israeli families? You know the answer. There's a fundamental bias in how human lives are valued. Yes.
Well, don't forget when they intimidate the hostages for telling the truth about how they were treated. It wasn't bad like their propaganda.
You ever see a picture of someone released by Hamas as a hostage and someone released by Israel as a hostage?
Yeah.
In Israel, it looks like they're at the Midnight Express, and the Hamas hostages look fine.
Yeah, that's right. And then Israel will intimidate those. I actually can't believe how sickening Israel is. Like, I had no idea. I had no idea for 20 years at all, dude.
They're modern day Nazis, Zionists, and people who are Zionists, who are friends. They don't know that they're Nazis. What they're actually supporting is they've told themselves some story.
Yeah, well, we could do it because it happened to us.
Yeah, look, they like to tell themselves, well, Israel and the Zionists are no worse than we were in World War II because look what we did in Japan and look what we did. You don't want to waste
the sacrifice.
Yeah, but then we had the Geneva Convention that made sure shit like that would never happen again.
Means nothing. Those things mean nothing. All that means something is me and mine. And
so how could you think Hamas is worse than anything? Because you're 10 times worse than they are right now.
That would make Bibi the worst since
everybody's the same.
Supported and propped them up, wouldn't it?
That's right.
Wouldn't he be worse than Hamas? The guy who funds Hamas. Yeah, everybody's compartmentalizing their dumb little things.
Yeah.
Just tell the truth. Just go, hey, when something's messed up, don't have loyalty to your dumb flag or your dumb team. Just tell the truth. Why is that so hard? The whole thing could stop. Everybody just told the truth all the time. The whole thing could stop.
Hey, come see me do stand-up on tour in Ontario, California, Davenport, Iowa, Las Vegas, Nevada, Chicago, Illinois, a special video show with stand-up, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.